next? Yeah, who's next? Who ride a greyhound all night long?
All right, welcome to The Climb. This is a show that's dedicated to helping singers and songwriters like you create leverage in the music business. In fact, that's what The Climb stands for. It's an acronym that stands for Creating Leverage in the Music Business. And with that, let me introduce you to my co-host, Brent Baxter. Brent is an award-winning hit songwriter with cuts by Alan Jackson, Randy Travis, Lady Antebellum, Joe Nichols, and more. And he also helps turn songwriters pro by teaching the art, the craft, and what I love, the business of songwriting. And you can find him at two different places here. You can find him at songwritingpro.com and also manvsrow.com, manvsrow.com. Some of you may know it from Man vs. Row, but we went through a recent rebranding for Songwriting Pro, just a lot easier and a lot more positive, right? How you doing, Brent?
I'm doing well. Good to see you, Johnny. Good to see you.
Good to see you too, brother.
Let me introduce you to our audience here. And audience, I'd like to introduce you to my co-host, Johnny Dwinell. Johnny owns Daredevil Production. It's an innovative artist development company. Not only do they develop and improve your artistry, they also grow and monetize your fan base, creating what? Cash flow. Yes. Daredevil has worked with multi-platinum artists like Colin Ray, Tracy Lawrence, Ty Herndon, and Andy Griggs, just to name a few. You can find Johnny at daredevilproduction.com. That's production, singular, no S. You ready to dive into that? I'm psyched about tonight.
I am, man. We got a lot going on here. We are going to, it's going to be your show, Brent, and we're going to get into.
I'm psyched even in spite of that.
We're going to get in one of the songs that you've actually written, and we're going to deconstruct that a little bit, right? And we're going to talk about some framing. Is that correct?
That's right. Tonight, we're going to dive into a song that got recorded by Joe Nichols called Crickets, and it's the title track of his current album on Redbow Records called Crickets. And we're just going to dive into that a little bit and talk about kind of how we went about writing it, and basically the songwriting decisions that we made and how we decided to frame it. And hopefully it's going to be helpful for the songwriters in the audience, and will help you frame your songs and just learn to kind of think, and maybe some questions to ask yourself before you sit down to write a song and while you're writing it.
Okay, so just from real quick from the top, like what's framing like from 30,000 feet? What does that mean?
It is basically how you decide to present your story or your idea. So you know, if you're talking about like if it were a movie, like, oh, I got this idea. This guy goes to, moves into this cabin in the woods, and then all kinds of weird stuff happens. Okay, well, you could frame that as in a horror, movie like Texas Chainsaw. You could present it like a horror comedy, like like The Evil Dead. You could frame it as just a pure comedy, something else. You could frame it a lot of different ways. Well, here's the nugget of our idea. Okay, how do I want to present this? Do I want to tell this story in flashbacks? Do I want to tell it all in present tense? Do I want to tell it, that kind of stuff? Is it a future sci-fi movie? Is it, so you take that nugget of an idea and you can present it many different ways. And so it's deciding how to present your song idea. Is the song idea going to be happy? Is it going to be sad? Is it going to be present tense? Is it going to be past tense? Is it going to be a 3-act play? Is it going to be in the moment, up tempo, down tempo, all this stuff? So it's like, it's all the meat and the bones that you put on the heart of the idea. That's kind of what the song looks like and sounds like.
Well, very cool. Let's get into it. Let's get into it.
So the song Crickets I wrote with Bill White and Lisa Schaefer. And actually, Bill presented the idea to Lisa. Okay, I got this idea, Crickets. It's about the awkward silences. When you say something stupid, you stick your foot in your mouth and
cricket.
Right? And so
when you bomb at a comedy show.
Exactly. And so Lisa, she liked it, and she thought of me. She thought, well, let's bring Brent in. Lisa and I were co-writers, written a bunch of songs together. I never had written with Bill before, but they thought I'd be a good fit for her, so they invited me in, which brought me to my first decision. And to kind of preface this, as songwriters, we all make decisions. And it's those creative decisions which make our songs more or less likely to get cut. So looking at the decisions that we made with this song, the first one I had to make was, do I want to write this idea? It was right off the bat, because you can't write every idea. So do I want to write that? And at first I was a little 50-50 on it. I'm like, okay, crickets, awkward moments. Okay. You know, I understand it. But I was like, there got to be a bunch of these out there, because crickets is such a, you know,
obvious
kind of
almost cliche joke.
Almost, yeah, it's this thing that's just out there in the consciousness, right? So it's like, okay, and cricket. So, I mean, it's a country word. So it's got to be a bunch of these out there. So I'm like, do I want to compete with all those? So generally, I like to do ideas that I'm not competing with a ton of other ideas right off the bat, right? So, you know, but I actually hadn't heard a song with that title and that angle before. You know, I hadn't actually heard it done. I definitely hadn't heard it as a hit. I'm sure there are some floating around there, but
deep cuts or something, but not singles.
Yeah, or demos. You know, stuff that people haven't gotten cut. I'm sure there are a bunch of those out there, right?
Sure. Mm-hmm.
But I figured the idea was still up for grabs because no one has written the version of it yet. You know, it's not already a hit. It's not a disqualifying version of it that I was aware of or my co-writers were aware of. So I thought, all right, so it's available. And I decided, well, you know what? I like Lisa. It's always good to meet a new co-writer. If nothing else, it'll be a lot of fun. So yeah, let's go give it a shot and see what we can do with it.
Okay.
So it was a yes. Okay, I want to go ahead and write this idea. So I kind of ran it through some filters, decided yes. So very basic, right? That's kind of the first decision you got to make. And the second one we had to decide is, what kind of song is it? You know, okay, we know a couple things going in. You know, you listen to your title and you listen to your idea. Okay, crickets. And it's about awkward silences. Okay, so that says two things: funny and country, right? Mm-hmm. It just doesn't make sense to try and make a weepy ballad out of it, or, you know, an EDM song out of crickets. I guess you could sample crickets and somehow, you know, but no, not for us. Maybe someone else could do that. So it's like, okay, given the subject matter, it had to be pretty funny and pretty country. And we realized, okay, neither one of those things are really the favored flavor at radio right now. Okay, so we're like, okay, well, if we're going to write this thing and if we're going to serve the song, we feel like it needs to be these two things within these two guidelines, funny and country. Well, there's not a lot of either one of those on the radio. Do we still want to do it? Because it doesn't work to really shoehorn it in. And we talked, I guess, my last episode about 6 ways to make your song more commercial. Yep. And we're like, okay, we're going to kind of cut against the grain on some of these. And this is where, you know, you start going, hey, wait, you just told us 2 episodes ago. Yeah.
Don't do that.
Yeah, I know. We knew we were lowering our odds, right? But we knew if we're going to have to write the heck out of it if we did. So, but we figure, you know, if we're going to write it, we got to serve the song. We can't make it something that the idea doesn't want to be. So it's okay, we're going to frame it in the country, funny kind of way. Okay, so that was our second. What do I want to write this? Yes. What kind of song is it? Going to be kind of country? It's going to be kind of funny. The third thing is it a novelty song? Because, you know, it could have been a wacky, over-the-top Ray Stevens kind of Mississippi Squirrel, you know, revival song or something like that. And actually, Bill and I have both gotten Ray Stevens cuts. So we have an in that world. And it's like, okay, apparently we can write Ray Stevens cuts. We could have written something really funny and gotten it to Ray, because, heck, Ray's still making records. And both of us have been on some recent ones, right? So we thought about that, but like, you know, we felt, the three of us, that if we wrote the song right, it had a bigger potential market in mainstream country. That if we wrote really novelty, that it really didn't have a home in mainstream country. Like, we'd aim for Ray, but let's see if we can aim at bigger sales numbers, right? Love Ray, but let's see if this can be applied to another market. So we decided to keep it more grounded and more relatable. So we're starting to kind of focus in. You know, we're starting with this big idea that can go anyway, and we're starting to kind of hone. Okay, well, listen, it's going country, it's going to be funny, but not novelty. Okay, we're going to try to keep it still in the mainstream, where you know, Cletus T. Judd or you know, Ray Stevens is not. We're not going there with it. And Bill's had Cletus T cuts before too. I mean, you know, so he's a good comedy writer. So we're like, okay, well, maybe we just don't need to step on the gas on the comedy. Let's see what we can do. So, which led us to our fourth question, which was, you know, do we tell one story or do we tell several stories? because the first instinct is it's about those awkward moments, and we thought, okay, well, first instinct was, first verse you tell a story that ends at an awkward moment, and you hit chorus, crickets, and then the second verse you tell this little vignette, this little short story that ends at an awkward moment, crickets. Then like the bridge or the third verse, you do another one, crickets. So that's the obvious way to write it. That's kind of the way that immediately jumps in. You tell 3 jokes, right, with the same punchline.
Sure.
But really didn't want to do that. Really didn't want to go for the obvious thing. For one thing, we knew that there are bound to be others of this song out there. And we figured this is probably how other people are going to write it, right? Because that feels the most obvious. So we decided to give the song to tackle the challenge of giving the song the power of the present, right? To dividing one story and finding like 2 or 3 crickets moments in that one story, where it's one continuous story, one
that's cool.
moment in time, and just really diving into this little short little play, this little skit, and finding those moments in that and really teasing those out. And there are a couple of reasons we did that. We wanted a compressed time frame. The 3-act play songs, which is what it would have been if you had the 3 little vignettes,
right,
kind of unrelated except for the singer, him getting in 3 different situations. Well, looking at the market, those really aren't getting cut very much.
That would be a really good 90s song.
It would be a great 90s song. I think the last song that I remember hearing on the radio that was a true 3-act play was "Are You Gonna Kiss Me or Not" by Thompson Square. Went number 1 for him. So hey, big success. But that's been a couple of years, and it was many years prior to that I hadn't heard any. So like when that came out, it stuck out like a sore thumb. So and they wrote themselves too, I believe. But so that's not the current market, those 3-act plays. It's everything's more right now in the moment, like we talked about on 6 Ways to Make Your Songs More Commercial. It's the power of the present, right? It's right now. So, okay, let's give it the right now. And also, it would really allow us to immerse the listener in the story and to really dive deep into this, even though it's not like a big heartbreaking story. It's a funny song, right? Hopefully. But still dive in and really wring out all the humor and the awkwardness and really get into it, which is going to pull the listener in, engage them more emotionally, really bring them along for the ride, because you want them to get invested in the story. So, if we did the 3-act play thing, we're going to have each verse is going to have like a setup, a build-up, and a payoff. Then you get to the next one. You got to start all over again with another setup. Okay, now here's where I am, 3 months later or whatever. First verse, okay, I'm at the house and I said something awkward to my wife. Boom, payoff. Next verse, okay, now I'm at the bar and I'm going to set this whole other thing, and boom, set up. Now, next verse, I'm on the bridge. I'm at a funeral, Uncle Joe's funeral, and I got to set this whole other thing. Boom. And
so if you do like one story, then it gives you the opportunity, writing-wise, to go deeper into sort of character development or deeper into the story, because you don't need to set up anything.
Exactly.
That's cool. I like
it. Then you're just diving deep and just getting all the good stuff. And because you can end up becoming like a journalist, and worrying about, I got to set up the scene, I got to do all this logistical stuff in your lyric writing. If you've got too much story in there, too many things to set up. Because I got a second verse, I got to let the listener know now I'm somewhere different and time's passed and there's another whole situation. There's just a lot more logistical work, which is not emotional, which is not going to make you laugh, cry, dance, or think, right? So let's do the one story and dive into it and just dig all the awkwardness out of it,
There you go. Yeah.
I dig all the awkwardness out of my real life, so let's do it in the song, dang it. So, and we thought, we knew that was going to be harder to do. It wasn't just like pick 3 funny incidents. It's like pick one that keeps twisting the knife. And that's going to be harder. We're going to have to be more creative. But if we do it, it's going to be awesome. And other people aren't going to be, a lot of other writers aren't going to do that work. They're going to do the 3-act play. And it may be good, but ours is going to help stand out because of the way that we're framing this story.
Right.
That makes sense. So.
It does. Actually, to add to that, we've talked about this before in previous podcasts, but the song you wrote with Lady Antebellum with Hillary Scott, and there was a third writer in there, that
Woman Scorn?
Tandy Marie Harris heard Woman Scorn.
Yeah.
So
John
there was
Armstrong and Casey Kessel. Yeah, were the writers.
There you go.
On that.
Okay, there was four writers. Okay,
four of us.
Four
I know. But you know what's funny about that? My co-writer didn't show up that day, and Casey and Hillary's co-writer didn't show up that day. We all showed up at Major Bob. And like my co-writer didn't show up, so I was hanging out doing stuff. Their co-writer didn't show up. We needed a guitar player because, this guy ain't going to be playing guitar. And Hillary and Casey aren't, at the time weren't, that good guitar players. So they called up their buddy John. All four of us ended up in a room. So, which is why we named the singer, the cheating boyfriend, Bo, because he was supposed to be their co-writer and he didn't show. So Bo became the bad guy.
Oh, that's funny. That's funny. Well, see,
anyway,
there's a perfect example of proximity. I mean, right there, you really got to get close to it, and stuff like that happens. But
if I
that
decided
song,
to head out, I wouldn't have gotten that song. But anyway,
I remember you were talking about, and I'll keep this real short, but you were talking about how Are You Gonna Kiss Me or Not was like a 3-act play, but it was like the first 3-act play in probably a decade, right?
Oh yeah.
And so it stuck out like a sore thumb because it was framed a little bit differently, and it really still worked in the new pop thing. It wasn't like the tearjerker, leave the girl kind of thing.
Yeah, so positive.
Yeah. So, but in Woman Scorned, when we were looking for songs for Tandy Marie Harris, who's a Canadian artist that has gotten a lot of airplay with that, she didn't want. She was married. She had a kid. She wasn't wanting to brand herself as the angry girlfriend, but she liked those songs. So this was a perfect way, because the song was framed differently in the perspective of the third person. It was, you were watching a play as opposed to I dug my key into the side of his pretty little souped up 4-wheel drive. You're watching it from the perspective of a third party, like there's a movie going on, and that worked. And that was sort of a neat way to spin. That was, we at the time we cut that, the angry girlfriend thing was definitely played out, on the radio, but this was new and it was cool, and she got spins from it, So again, framing. It's a twist, right? It's a fine line between clever and stupid.
Right. You want to be a little stupid in a really clever way. Yeah, right. Be smart. When you're going to be stupid, be smart about it.
Be smart about being stupid.
Exactly. A little something different. So that's what we're aiming. Like, this is going to be harder, but if we pull this off, this one story that keeps twisting the awkward knife, it's going to stand out. It's going to have to be better, So yeah, so that's number 4. So tell one story or several. We're going to tell one story, and with several crickets moments inside that story.
Okay.
So next thing is, how do we maximize the song's commercial potential? And we talked about that. It's like, okay, well, we know we kind of within this smaller bullseye of it's country, it's funny. Okay, well, knowing those aren't the flavor of the moment, what can we do to give us the best chance within this, what it is, to make it as commercial as possible, to give someone a chance to cut it? Because we don't, hey, we're enjoying ourselves, but we enjoy cuts too. If we
enjoying ourselves doesn't put, food on the table for the family there.
It doesn't. No, it doesn't. So, it's like I already said, we made it one story to engage the listener more and not have to spend so much time setting up each joke. So working to engage the listener's emotions, right? Draw them in, make them care about these people, make them care about this train wreck, make sure they can't just, look away. We also put it in the context of a love story. Okay, if you think about awkward moments, that doesn't necessarily have to be about a love story at all. It could be any sort of awkwardness, right? But, okay. The most universal thing, the biggest commercial subject, love. All right, let's frame this in a guy-girl kind of way, right? We also, going back to 6 ways to make your songs more commercial, we made it I.
Right.
The Joe, ended up being Joe Nichols, was singing it from the first person point of view. Because we know that's more impactful. He gets to be this guy, have these funny moments. And that's my mother-in-law's cell phone going off in the other room.
It's a little background noise. Never heard anybody.
They're upstairs.
It's real life here. Real life.
That is, they're upstairs playing with my kids, putting them to bed. So who knows how long that'll ring? That's how we go. A little glimpse into the Baxter life.
Mother-in-law's not used to being in the studio. Just automatically having that phone on silent like we do here in Nashville.
Rookie. Gabby's a rookie. So anyway, pretty good mic I got here. So we put in the context of a love story. Okay, so it could have been about, some guy insulting another guy's dog or whatever. It doesn't matter. But like, make it guy, girl, love, me, you. We also made sure that the awkward moments weren't caused by the singer saying something that would be too controversial to get on radio or to get cut. I can come up with a lot of awkward moments that would cause crickets that are way more than an artist is going to cut, way more than an artist is going to put on their records. They're like, I don't want to be the guy to say that, even if it's a joke. And I said this one, whether it's something, just offensive to women, something racist, something, whatever it could be.
So the bad about the president that could get you kicked off TV or off
exactly,
radio.
Something about the president. There's so many ways to be awkward, and a lot of them are going to keep you out of the recording studio, right? An artist just is not going to do it. So we're like, okay, so here we're narrowing down, going, okay, it's a love song. He's got to say something that's awkward moment, but it's nothing that's going to make the singer look bad. Put the singer in a good light. How can this guy still be likable but stick his foot in his mouth? So it's like, okay, man, we're threading a needle here. Let's see, some thought went into this.
Yeah. And that, that's important to point out. I don't think a lot of artists do that. I think a lot of writers, there's like, well, it's, it just comes from God, or the creativity just comes through me and I write. And if you're an artist, God bless, good job. But if you're trying to be a commercial writer, it's like painting a room. It's 90% preparation and about 10% actually writing it, because you really are trying to, it's that strategic. Mm-hmm. It's that, you've thought it out that much in advance, so you know exactly where you're going with this, and then it allows you to, like you said, you're chunking that down, you're hitting that bullseye and getting with it, and that's how you get cuts.
Even once you've written enough and you work hard at it, you get your chops, you get your craft down. Then it's a matter of, what do we apply our craft to? Right. Because we could have gone to the wall, just gone crazy out there, novelty, or just really like, oh my gosh, I can't believe they said that. Could have done that. We're like, we kind of want to end up on a record. We'd like someone other than three of us and our song players to hear this.
Baby needs a new pair of shoes.
Exactly. So, let's rein it in and not put something in here that's going to be a radio killer, but still it's going to be funny. So, because we wanted the singer to be likable and someone that the artist wouldn't mind being for 3 minutes, forever on an album, Yeah,
forever on concert tour.
Exactly. Yeah, that's what we wanted. So, and then the other thing we ended up with in the bridge, which you can go check out this song on, I'm sure, YouTube, preferably buy it off of iTunes, so Mechanicals, but buy the whole record. Friends of mine have cuts on there, but in the bridge we put the singer on both sides of the crickets moment. So like the one time he's saying something awkward and she doesn't say anything back, and then we end up flipping it where she says something to him where he doesn't know how to respond. So that was another way of keeping it fresh, doing the unexpected. Was now he's on the receiving end of it where he doesn't know what to say. Like first he's like in his mouth, and then it's like, so we thought that was unexpected and it'd be something a little more fresh. Which, if you want to hear the song, I'll give you the brief lowdown on it, kind of what we ended up with. And we kind of figured out this framework as we went as well. We didn't have it all lined out before we hit the first downbeat. It was kind of as we were going, we were narrowing it down and
honing, refining. Yeah.
So what we did, the first verse, the guy and the girl are going out on a date, and they're out in the country. Man, just them, let nature do its thing, and just nothing but the sound of their hearts and crickets. Itty bitty crickets. And another thing we did is we wrote the chorus lyric in a way that is going to apply to both, like in the first verse, like, literal crickets out in the country. You're having a nice date. It's quiet, and you hear nothing but the crickets. But then also the same words apply to awkward moments, crickets, nothing but crickets. Ain't another sound for miles around. Just listen, and it's quiet.
Yeah.
Real quiet. When the crickets start chirping, Lord, don't they say it all? So on one hand, that's beautiful when you're like, we're together, we're on the blanket, and nothing but crickets, man. It's perfect, And then it's awful. And so in the next verse, it sets out that It was going great, just our third date. We're taking our time, but getting carried away. And basically, he's like, it might have been me or the Boone's Farm wine, but either way, my tongue came untied, and we both heard me say, I love you. Like, we both heard me say, meaning I heard it too. I heard that come out of my face. And then it's crickets. And he's like, oh my gosh. And then, so we do that. And then it comes back around on the bridge. And then might have been seconds, but it felt like an hour. She gave me a kiss, said it's all worked out. I got my grandmama's, I got my mama's dress, my grandmama's ring. I know a little church. Baby, what do you think? What do you think?
Yeah. Great.
Right. And then it comes back on him, and he's like, he thought he stuck his foot in his mouth because, oh my gosh, I said I love you way too soon. She's going to scare her off. And then she's like, let's get married. And he's like, way too soon. So that's the gist of it. But to get the whole shebang, buy it on iTunes. Many times. So anyways, that's the gist of it. But yeah, we were just trying to frame this thing in a way that would give it the best chance to get cut and best chance to be successful. And actually, I guess in 2 episodes, my next episode, we'll talk about the actual process that went from the writer's room to the record. So a little teaser for 2 episodes.
And that's cool. See, I love hearing these stories, like how, like the thought process, the things that happen, the even that side story about how you and Hillary Scott ended up getting together with those other 2 writers, and how that was just not supposed to happen that way. And everybody's like, well, we're here. Let's just write.
Let's work. I'm not taking a day off. I ain't coming to Nashville to take it off.
That's right. I love that. So what do we got going on for you now? You don't just get the awesome information from Mr. Brent Baxter. We've got something special he wants to talk about.
Yeah. I have. This has been about 25 minutes or so of kind of how to frame an idea and take this idea from seed idea to more of a finished product, right, to a song. I actually have a workshop coming up. It starts on May 18th, so it's coming up quick by the time this airs. But it's called Song Ideas: From Blank Page to Bulletproof. And this was about 25 minutes during this workshop series. It's a series of 5 nights. You're going to get about 8 hours of taking an idea from a blank page. I mean, how do we generate song ideas? How do I come? How do you write 100 songs in a year? How do you come up with ideas? We're going to spend a night on that. We're going to spend a night on focusing that vague notion or that idea that you get into something much more solid and concrete. We're going to spend a night and about a half on framing it, like a lot of what we talked about tonight. How to make it commercial, how to set this thing up, how to tee it up so it has the best chance of success. We're going to spend time on, okay, now that you're writing this thing, you're probably going to hit a couple roadblocks. So we're going to talk about finishing your idea, how to overcome some of those creative obstacles. And they're going to spend a night. It's a small group, so it's going to be very interactive. I'm going to be talking to you. I'm going to see you face to face. It's online, so you can join from anywhere in the world. You'll be talking to me. We'll be talking to each other. So it's almost like
that's cool.
And the last night we're going to go, and my goal for this is from the first night to the last night, you're going to come up at least with one really strong idea with it framed out and ready to go to present to a co-writer or to write yourself. You'll probably come up with more ideas than that, but that's my goal. You're going to come up with one and go, wow, look at that. The whole process.
The strongest thing you've ever written. Yeah.
Exactly. So that last night, we're actually going to throw those out with each other and help beat them up and make them bulletproof and give ideas on framing it, focusing, that kind of stuff. So get my feedback and on that last night. So to check that out, if you're interested, you can go to manversusrow.com/store, STORE. You can go there and it'll lead you to it. It's called Song Ideas: From Blank Page to Bulletproof. And I'll be hosting this again. If you're listening to this sometime in the future, next year, months from now, I'll probably be doing it again. So, if you're in this in the future, well, first of all, I hope you're listening in your flying car. But
well, I'll tell you what, for people who aren't in Nashville, for people who are, in small town, fadedmap.usa, where I grew up, Delton, Wisconsin, stuff like that, here's your opportunity to really get access into a room and increase your awareness. And you're not going to walk away from something like this without learning something. And I'll share something with you. And I'm not just plugging you here, but I just recently went through this, and I experience moments of doubt all the time. you know.
Me too.
Even Jesus Christ had his moment of doubt. You know, we all have it. We're all human. And when, you know, what helps me get out of that is just learning. Like, I'll just go dig into some books. Like, I'm literally not even kidding, like 10 books behind on stuff I've ordered that I have to read. But that's when I just go dig into that. And then it just gets me back on track again. It reminds me of why I'm loving to do this and gives me fresh ideas. So, man, what a great opportunity to hang out with Brent Baxter, to present some ideas, to interact with some people, and to learn something, and to maybe get yourself back on track and remember why you wanted to be a writer to begin with. I think that's fantastic.
Yeah. So check it out at manversusroad.com/store, and it'll get you there. But yeah, I think that's it. So hopefully that's been a lot of help. I know it's fast, but go check out the song, look at these, and you'll be able to see the writing in there, and hopefully that's some stuff you can apply to your own.
There you go. There
Yeah.
you go. And before we wrap it up, I just want to, I've got a free Twitter book I'm giving away.
Yes.
It's Music Marketing on Twitter 101. And it is, listen, it demystifies the whole app. Shows you, it's a tour through the app, shows you how it works, the basic etiquette, the do's and the don'ts. And then we teach you how to gain 1,000 targeted followers. These are people, if you're an artist, that are going to be inclined to like your music, and how to gain 1,000 solid targeted followers every month, and just do it in 15 minutes a day. We show you the tools that we use, and it's totally free. Just go to giftfromjohnny.com. That's giftfromjohnny.com, and just tell us where to send it, and we'll get it out to you. And the people, everybody that's gotten into this book, that took the time first to read it, okay, because a lot of people don't. Second, to apply what they read and actually go out there and try it a couple times. I've got emails of people in just like 3 days. I've doubled my Twitter account. Like, this is awesome. So it really works, and it's a gift from me to you. Have fun.
Awesome.
And with that, wraps up episode 13 here of the podcast, The Climb, Creating Leverage in the Music Business. Thank you, Brent.
Thank you, Johnny. Y'all keep on climbing. We'll see you at the top.
All right.